guys, Marty Schwartz here with Marty Music, and I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I'm hanging out with my friend Chris here, who works for Gibson, but is stationed at the Sweetwater Outpost. Today, in this video, I thought we'd go over the various Gibson models. So the viewers out there that aren't sure, what might be the right Gibson for them, we can kind of fill it in for them a little bit with some info. The fun part is I get to play a bunch of cool, awesome, brand new, amazing guitars.
Right.
And you get to fill in the information. So does that sound pretty good?
Happy to do it.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm starting here with this beautiful Les Paul Studio. The Les Paul is the ultimate rock instrument.
Absolutely.
We can go from Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin to Slash from Guns N' Roses.
All right.
So what makes a studio different than a regular Les Paul?
A studio is one of our, more affordable instruments. And what makes it affordable is it doesn't have binding on the neck. It doesn't have binding on the body. Those things look really nice, don't necessarily add to the tonal character, but they dress it off and they've become tradition. So
Right.
People like those. That's what's on a standard. It's what's on a custom.
Now, a Les Paul, we've got a big, thick piece of wood here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then on a Fender guitar, for instance, it would be a bolt-on neck, but this is set in.
Correct.
Right? So it's
Yeah.
glued in.
Right.
Also, you've got this mahogany body, but then, the Les Paul, something about the Les Paul that's really cool is it has a cap
Right.
that's put on top.
Right. The
The
maple cap.
cap. And also it's curved. It's not a flat across guitar. So it's got this really beautiful contour
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, we call them, that's still technically an arch top.
Arch
guitar.
top, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Which you would see in the old jazz guitars and,
Right.
and some of the others. Also, we've got the classic humbucker pickup.
Which we invented.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. That is so awesome. I mean, how amazing is that? The humbucker pickup is definitely a higher gain pickup, meaning we usually associate it more with a little bit more of a distorted sound,
Absolutely.
overdriven sound,
Yeah.
which kind of defined some, epic music.
Absolutely.
Led Zeppelin.
Yep.
Black Sabbath. So I've got some overdrive on the amp because that's just a fun thing to do with a Les Paul.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to just start with that bridge pickup and just play it a little more. You can really hear that, the sound of the classic instrument. That is a sound,
Right?
That is a very specific sound. So if I go up to the neck pickup, how would you describe it? I say darker.
Yeah, I've always used the analogy of it's like when you take a rock and throw it in the water, the circles are closer right around where the rock goes in and they start to get wider.
Yeah.
Well, the farther you get away from that bridge, the warmer it gets. The
okay.
bridge is like right where it goes in.
I like that. We've never had that analogy in the 14 years of the channel. So the bridge pickup, brighter.
Right.
Now the neck pickup. It's a drastic change.
Mm-hmm.
Now I feel like Slash solos in that position. He
Yeah.
likes that is a little more violin
Mm-hmm.
sounding for those legato licks. It's not as much bite. So now I'll go to that neck again. Like I said, this is Slash's position when he's soloing. I'm not going to play Slash, but how would you describe the middle position where it's using both?
The middle position, the really cool thing with it is that you know, when it's both and they're all just wide open, you know, you get a little bit more shimmer or brightness on top of it. But now you've also got the volume and tone controls. All 4 of them are working,
So you can blend.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So. As I turn that down, it starts to sound more like that position. As I roll it back up, it'll get darker. That kind of cool muffle sound. More nasally.
Right, right. See, that sounds very Clapton woman tone-ish.
Yes,
to me.
yes, exactly. And you're always trying to find that sweet spot. And you'll see guys, I mean, Clapton was the one. I mean, there's this very famous clip where he's like talking about the woman tone and how he gets it and everything. And it's very hip, you know, very 60s.
Right.
You know, like someone like Joe Bonamassa, he plays tons of Gibsons. He is always blending and mixing those different tones like that. Now, if I just rolled the tone all the way down, let's just see what happens.
Gets a little darker.
Yeah.
It still has sustain.
Yeah, and it shows you that it really is a versatile guitar. I mean, you can get some really interesting tones out of it. And as I roll the volume down now, tone all the way up now, middle position, but the volume's down. All right, so just to cleanse the palate, I'm going to go to that bridge, everything up one more time so we can just hear that. All right, guys, put this one in the back of the car for me. Woo! That's fun.
With the pots, we use what we call audio taper pots.
Okay.
They're CTS pots. And like a lot of your, you know, a lot of your inferior potentiometers almost become on-off switches. There's really not a lot of variation when you roll on the dial. With ours, you will notice that it graduates, you know, either way, you know, up or down that you want it to. You know, there's some variation there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, we have more Gibsons to play.
Right.
So let's get to another one.
All right.
All right, Chris, I magically just got a new guitar in my hands. Now, everyone would recognize this as the SG, correct?
Correct. Solid
And
guitar.
Solid guitar. And also, clearly, the legend of the SG is Angus Young. Would you call this natural?
Yeah, that's a walnut finish is what we call it.
Okay.
The wood is mahogany. And it's still, you know, even though this is what we call a satin finish, it's still the same finish that's on the high gloss Les Paul that you played. It's just never been buffed to a luster.
Oh, gotcha.
You know, so a guitar spends more time in finishing than it does any other stage production. So if we can cut down the finishing on it, we will cut down the cost of it significantly.
Yeah, for sure. Now, mahogany, but no cap.
No cap.
No
right.
curved cap. It's straight across.
Yep.
Which also I'm sure cuts down on the cost as well. The other thing that if people haven't played a Les Paul or an SG, that you'll notice that the SG is much lighter.
Right.
A much lighter guitar. So we've got the same type of humbuckers as a Les Paul.
Yeah, and those are actually the same pickup that's in the studio. Those are the 490 and 498.
Now, I think the most important question that I know everyone has is, what's the real difference between the Les Paul and the SG, or why would you want one over another, besides wanting to have the one that Slash has or the one that Angus has?
To my ear, the SG is a brighter guitar.
Yeah.
You know, maple is a denser wood, so it makes for I think a darker sounding guitar.
It definitely, you know, feels different. Just it's thinner on your body and lighter. So it just It's great for those duck walks,
Right.
and the spinning on the ground and everything. And it fits for all that for sure.
Right.
But let's hear the sound. Yeah, just I like less low end, right?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, exactly.
I have the same overdrive as I had with the Les Paul.
Right.
And, love that bridge position. I'm going to have everything turned up here.
Right.
And we'll just kind of go through that same vibe and see if we see if we can hear a difference. That was my own composition there.
Right.
It's called Hit by Lightning.
Right. You can't copyright finger tapping, right?
No.
Good night.
Don't tell anyone this is my job. All right, so now I'm in the neck position, and I'm going to go for that same woman tone. So I'm going to just stay on the neck. I'm going to roll the volume down a little. And the tone down.
See, it seems like to me, like in that kind of configuration, it doesn't have the unnecessary low end. It's very focused.
Right.
Where the band's laying back and the drummer's about to go.
Oh yeah, we're going there. We're going.
Right.
You ready? Yeah. So this is, just another great rock guitar. One thing I do like about it is the lightness, a richer tone with the Les Paul.
Mm-hmm.
This is got a little more bite to it.
Right.
A little brighter, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe less sustained than a Les Paul
Probably. Yeah.
because of that cap and the wood.
Yeah. And the neck tenon setup is different, on a Les Paul versus an SG. How they're put together. They're still both set-in neck guitars, but the width of the tenon and the depth of the tenon changes.
You can't go wrong. It's just a fantastic guitar, so fun to play, and it just looks so cool. I mean, but I guess Les Paul
like
himself didn't want this to be the next Les Paul because he didn't like the look.
Nope.
Well, just weren't ready for it yet.
Right, exactly.
Now we're ready. Now we're accepting of it.
Right.
Cool. Well, I'm ready to play another one. So let's
Right
see
on.
what we got. All right, another beautiful instrument. This one I'm very comfortable with. This is the Gibson ES 335. This is a blonde. right?
Absolutely.
Beautiful. It's one of my. I have the cherry, which I love, and
Right.
I picked cherry because of Back to the Future, because of the
Sure.
classic scene. But I love this wood, grain with the blonde.
Absolutely.
It's really gorgeous.
In this particular one, this is a custom shop guitar for us.
Ooh.
So
I'm gonna hold it a little tighter. But so Gibson ES335, it is semi-hollow.
Yep.
So we've got 2 F holes here, but a solid block of wood through the middle.
right, solid
correct?
center block.
Let's see. It's
Maple, poplar, maple.
okay. How do you think of a 335 compared to a Les Paul?
It's interesting. Like Les had been playing, obviously, hollow and semi-hollow guitars, prior to the solid body, and his thinking was, like, I can make a solid body guitar that will do the job and not have the feedback problems, for high volumes. But it does sound different. There's a lot of different tone character that's created in this guitar that you don't get out of a solid body, and I think that's why the jazz guys, like it so much, and folks who are looking for a warmer tone, because to me, that's what it has. You've got the capability of more, tone palette.
I mean, I love the way they look. I've always loved the traditional design.
Me too.
And then also with the semi-hollowness, depending on how loud you have an amp cranked and where you're standing, you can get that good feedback,
right?
That
yeah,
overtone feedback. And that's another thing that I love about the 335. It's just one piece on the top.
A lot of times it'll be book matched, is what we call it, where you take one piece of wood.
You can see a piece through the middle.
Cut it and seam it like so, so you have the matching flame. They just happened to find a really, awesome piece of wood that they kind of had the whole look all the way across it. That's unusual.
Yeah.
It's interesting, like all 3 of the guitars that we've looked at, the SG, the Les Paul, and this one, are all 24 and 3/4 scale length, which is kind of a Gibson thing. Some of our competitors are known for 25 and a half. We're known for 24 and 3/4. And that 3/4 of an inch just feels so much different. To me, our guitars have so much more slink or slack in them.
For sure, yeah.
And so for pitch bends and things like that, I mean, they're just really fun guitars to play on.
Yeah, I like this neck too. I don't know which profile neck this is.
That one is our rounded C shape or C-shaped neck.
We're gonna use that same overdrive, but also for this one in particular, we'll do a clean tone too, just to hear that that real 335.
Oh, and like this one does have our custom buckers in it too, which is a custom shop exclusive, and the only way you can get them is in a guitar.
Gotcha.
And they have Alnico 3 magnets, which is actually the weakest of the different Alnico magnets.
Oh yeah, love that.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the neck pickup. All right, so let's get a clean tone going, and I'm going to keep it in the neck position. We'll just hear that warmer sound. tone off and get even more of that. All right, so this is you know, my personal favorite. You can get heavy rock sounds from it, but you can also get warmer blues and jazz tones from it. You
Very
can
versatile.
get really killer feedback when you're cranking it,
Right.
because of the F holes. Also, it's lighter than a Les Paul, but heavier than a SG.
Right.
So it's kind of right in that sweet spot, and the wider body too somehow feels more comfortable to play.
Me too.
Yeah,
To
and
sit
also
down and
just
play.
in your lap.
Yeah.
You know, Les Paul's a little bit lower.
Right.
This is like, you know, almost acoustic
Right.
size. Okay, so we're gonna do one more, right? We're gonna kick it up a notch.
Right.
A little trickier to play on the leg there.
That ain't a sit down and play guitar.
This is not a sit down guitar.
Right. That's a stand up and rock guitar.
This is a stand-up rock guitar. So we've got the famous flying spaceship guitar, the Flying V. Can't imagine why it's called that, but you know, they come up with weird names sometimes that don't fit.
You know, that thing was introduced, you know, the first Flying V and Explorer was 1958, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, could you imagine, you know, the folks that saw those for the first time, like, what on earth is that, you know?
Well, the one thing I'll say, though, is it has a mid-century aesthetic, you know?
True.
Like when you
Yeah.
see like mid-century design, there is some aesthetic that...
Straight lines and
Yeah,
things like that. Yeah.
You know, the headstock really reminds me of that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and
you
it would
know,
have been the right era too, right?
Yeah.
The atomic age.
Yes, exactly. or think about a 57 Chevy.
Right.
The fins on the back, right?
Exactly.
Isn't that not fit that
Absolutely.
that vibe? Like,
Yep.
I mean, it really does remind me of that. Super light.
Very light.
Super light. Obviously more unusual. I did get schooled from Gibson on the how they got popular, because when they first came out, they bombed.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Dave Davies from the
Dave
Kings.
Davies played one. Yeah.
But it was on a very famous TV performance that he
Right.
played one. And then all of a sudden people were like, what was that guitar?
Yeah. And he played it with his arm, like the V like this, playing it like that.
Oh, okay. That's what it's for. How funny is that? You know, oh, you didn't know that's for the arm? Didn't Albert King play one?
He did.
So that's on the whole other side. That's, you know, straight blues legend.
Right.
So that is pretty cool that,
Right.
that he played one. And then Dave Davies made it famous, but we've got
Kirk Hammett.
And now Dave Mustaine
Mhm.
is playing one.
Yeah.
right?
Dave Mustaine's in the Gibson
So
family.
metal, Kiss, right?
Paul Stanley.
Paul Stanley. I mean,
Yeah.
that's perfect for him.
Right.
I mean, it's like almost made for
Yeah.
him.
Michael Schenker.
Michael Schenker, yeah. So we've got just a very unusual guitar, smaller, less wood in the body.
Yep. Still mahogany.
So
Which is kind of what we're known for. Mahogany is a really great, light, airy sounding wood. You know, it has a lot of color and tonal character and is easy to hold and play.
now, who would you recommend this guitar for as opposed to like an SG? I know some answers, it's just the look.
It's very akin to our other guitars, especially this particular one, how the neck is set into it is very, very similar to an SG. You know, but it does definitely have its own character, you know, sonically because of its shape and the wood that it's made out of. You've got 2 volumes and 1 tone as opposed to the 4 controls,
Yeah,
which is
I
on
noticed
everything
that.
else.
So 2 volumes
Mhm.
for the pickups,
Right.
but 1 tone controls both.
Both. Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
It speaks for itself. You get that Gibson tone,
absolutely.
you get the humbucker sound, and it just looks like a rock and roll beast of a guitar. So if this is your thing, you know, like you said, Kirk Hammett, I mean,
Yeah.
Metallica is one of the most famous bands of all time. Hey, Chris. Thanks so much, man.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate it.
It's been a blast.
Always fun working with Gibson and getting to play these amazing guitars. Also, we're going to leave links below for guitars for you to check out at Sweetwater, of course. And I just appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate your time. Hope to
Thank
see
you.
you again real soon. See you later.